Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Urdu Seekhiye. In this lesson, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the Urdu script, and then we'll jump into the alphabet. I'll only cover a few facts. If you'd like to learn more about the Urdu script, you'll have to use good old Google. Or feel free to send us your questions at urduseekhiye@gmail.com. With that, let's get started. Urdu is written from right to left. The book that I've been using to study Urdu states that there are 35 letters, but the two sites that I referred to in the previous episode show 39 letters. And the chart that I'll continually refer to, which is available on our site, contains 39 letters also, along with various letters and symbols that represent short and long vowel sounds. I'll explain that in more detail later. Urdu is normally written in the Nastaliq script, which looks like this. But I'm going to write Urdu using the Naskh script, mainly because I took Arabic in college, and Arabic is written using Naskh, and that's just what I've gotten used to. Naskh looks like this. You can see that the only difference is that Naskh is written in a linear manner, in a straight line, whereas Nastaliq starts off high, above the line, and eventually comes on or below the line. I can't figure out how high to start each word in order for me to write neatly, and I'm a sucker for neat handwriting, so I prefer Naskh. And once you have the Naskh script down, you're free to practice Nastaliq on your own, though I think you'll most likely be using a keyboard to type in Urdu. For those interested, I'll post a few helpful resources for how you can install the Urdu keyboard. Just for the record, when I'm typing Urdu, I always go for a Nastaliq font because first, I think most native Urdu speakers and writers use the Nastaliq script. So you want to use what the majority use, what is native to that culture. So I really do think the Nastaliq way of writing, even handwriting and typing, are more accepted. So as I mentioned, I'll go ahead and include information on how you can download the appropriate fonts and install the Urdu keyboard so you can begin typing. So let's get back to the facts. 39 letters, written and read from right to left. Most, but not all, of the letters connect to both the letters that come before them and to letters that come after them. It's like cursive in that regard. Because letters connect to the other letters that come before them and to letters that come after them, they can be written in 4 different ways, depending on their position in a word. So there's the initial position, if the letter is the first letter in a word. There's the medial position, and that just means that it's somewhere in the middle. The final position is if it's the last letter in a word. And then, of course, there's the independent position, meaning that there is no letter before it or after it. It stands alone. Several letters have an independent position because they don't connect to a letter that comes after it. And I'll point them out as we come across them. In addition to the 39 letters, there are 10 vowels in Urdu, 3 short and 7 long. The 3 short vowels are not represented by letters. They're represented by symbols above and below the letters. The 7 long vowels are represented by letters, and we'll discuss them in the episodes following this 3-part series. Because there are so many letters, I've divided this episode into 3 parts. So let's jump right in. Here's the chart I was referring to. By now, you should already be familiar with how to pronounce each letter. If you're not, I highly recommend that you watch the first episode that covers the order of the alphabet and how to say each letter. Remember, when learning something new, it's good to spend extra time on the foundation. Don't rush yourself, because if the basics are understood clearly, then you'll naturally learn faster as you progress. If you feel like you have a good grasp of the pronunciation of each letter, then it's a good idea to continue on with this episode. For each letter, I'll discuss the name of the letter, how to write it in Urdu, its English letter equivalent, and a few words that begin with that letter, so you can get a sense of the different sounds the letter can make. Let's begin with the first letter. The first letter is Aleph. Aleph is basically a straight line. I'm going to say a few words that begin with Aleph, just to give you an idea of the different types of sounds you can form with Aleph. But I'm purposely not writing them down because I want you to only focus on the sound. The episodes that come after this one are devoted to each of the letters in the alphabet, and they will contain all the words that I mention in this episode. So you will get a chance to read and practice writing each of the words mentioned in this episode. For now, just take the sounds in. So our first word, beginning with Aleph, is ab. Ab. Ab means now. Another word is ulta. Ulta. Ulta means upside down. Ulta also starts with Aleph. One more word. Let's go with school. School, which you can probably guess means school. So you might be thinking, how can from ab and u from ulta and I from school all start with Aleph? Well, that'll be answered in the episode titled Aleph. The next letter is B. B. Again, try not to want to see the word written out. Just focus on the sounds that the letter B can make. You'll see all these words written out in their corresponding letter episodes. Okay, so the first word is bus. Bus. And it could mean bus, like I take the bus to school. But here, I'm using it to mean enough. If I pour you a glass of water and you only want it half full, at the halfway point, you'd say bus to indicate enough. Moving on, our next word is bimar. Bimar. And bimar means sick. And our final word is bud. Bud. It means Wednesday. So in these three examples, it wasn't as different as Aleph, our first letter. We clearly heard the b sound in each of the three examples. Bus, bimar, bud. The third letter in Urdu is pe. Pe. It's like be in written form, but instead of one dot below the boat-like structure, there are three. Our first word is patang. Patang. Patang means kite. Our next word is pita. Pita. So there are lots of words that you can use to refer to your dad. And in Urdu, pita is just one of them. We also have baba, papa, abu, and so on. So pita is, well, actually, pita wouldn't be something you would say to your dad's face. You wouldn't be like, good morning, pita. No. It'd be more like referring to him in the third person, right? So it'd be like, he's my pita. He's my dad. So pita means father. The final example is pul. Pul. And pul means bridge. Next letter, te. Te. In written form, it's the same as be and pe, except it has two dots on the top. First word, tab. Tab. Tab means then. Next word, til. Til. Til means mole or birthmark. And our final word, tum. Tum. Tum is one way of saying you. We'll learn more about that in our grammar series. Okay, so we're coming upon the hard T. And you know exactly what I mean by hard T if you watched our previous episode. So this is te. Te. Our previous letter was te. And this is te. Again, if you want to see the lips and the tongue movements, I'd highly recommend you watch the previous episode. Our first word starting with te is telephone. Telephone, which you can guess means telephone. So it's not telephone, it's telephone with the hard T. Next is ticket. Ticket. It not only begins with the hard T, but it also ends with it. Ticket. If you were to guess what ticket means, you'd probably guess ticket? Yeah? Like a train ticket or a movie ticket. Our final word is topi. Topi. And it means hat. Any type of hat. Summer hats to winter hats they fall under the category of topi. Our next letter is se. Se. It's got the same base as the preceding letters, that boat shape, but it's got 3 dots above it. Just a note for this letter, not too many Urdu words begin with se. So just keep that in mind. It'll rarely be used. In fact, I only thought to share one word as an example that you might come across, and that word is sabit. Sabit. And it means prove. So you might be thinking, wait, if se is rarely used, then what letter will I use for the s sound? And the answer is either seen or swad, which we'll cover later. Next letter, jeem. Jeem. Our first word is jub. Jub. Jub sounds like tub, which means then. Jub means when. Jub, when. Next word, jin. Jin. Jin, in the context that I'm referring to it in, means these or those. However, jinn could also mean ghost or some spirit. But let's just stick to these or those for now. Final word, Jummah. Jummah. And Jummah means Friday. Jub, Jin, and Jummah. Next, we've got the letter che. Che. So let's go with chai. chai. You probably can guess that chai means tea. Next is chalna. Chalna. Chalna means to walk. Chalna. And finally, we have cheese. Cheese. Not exactly like the cheese you might put on nachos, but I would understand you if you were to say cheese. It's a little stretched out, so it's cheese. And cheese in Urdu means thing. Then we've got badi hai. Badi hai. Hal is a good word. Hal. It means condition. Like if I asked you, kya hal hai? Kya hal hai? I'd be asking you, how are you? I'd be asking your condition. Next word. I'm sure you often hear or see the word halal. Halal. Halal means permitted or lawful. It can be applied to any aspect of life, but we most often hear it referred to when speaking of meat. So you'll often see halal in restaurants or butcher shops that are run by Muslims. Final word, hijab. Hijab. So this is a hijab. That's all for our first part of the introduction to the Urdu alphabet. I'll see you in part 2. Until then, take our challenge to see if you can remember the meaning of some of the words that were introduced. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to share them on our Facebook page. Until next time, Khuda Hafiz.